The top stories: PM Abiy says Ethiopia committed to cooperating with Sudanese and Egyptian brother people. And international water expert says riparian nations should cooperate for fair utilization of the Nile. Hello, many thanks for joining us. You're watching Adi's News Hour with the news. I'm Tabitha John. Do stay with us. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed says Ethiopia is keen to work in collaboration with the Sudanese and Egyptian brothers and sisters regarding the utilization of the Abiy River. Ethiopia does not resort to other options than cooperation with the downstream nations, the Premier has underscored. He has also urged the downstream countries to join and rectify the Cooperative Framework Agreement CFA as it equally benefits all. Johannes Tahun has more on this.
The House of People's Representatives convened the third extraordinary session on Tuesday. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has addressed the parliament responding to different queries raised by the members of the parliament. One of the issues raised was issues in connection to the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, which launched the first round of power generation in Sunday. The Premier reiterated on the importance of cooperation with the riparian countries.
ናይልን በሚመለከት በመጀመሪያ ግድቡን በሚመለከት ከግብጽ ወንድሞቻችን
We want to collaborate with the Egyptian and the Sudanese brother people on the Abiy River. We want to work through negotiation and dialogue. We do not want any other alternative. In the past, we said that we didn't want to stop the flow of the Nile. Our desire was to generate energy. Many would not have thought and believed that it could be so easy that the water would hit the turbine and follow its natural course. When we started the first power generation process yesterday, the water hit the turbine and went down. Sudan has a right to use this water and Egypt has a right. Ethiopia also has a right to use the water. It is good for us to work together and negotiate in every way possible. Ethiopia is dark, Sudan is also dark.
ኢትዮጵያ መብታላት በሁሉ መንገድ በድርድርና በጋራ ብንሰራ ይጠቅመናል። ሱዳንም ጨለማ ነው፣ ኢትዮጵያም ጨለማ ነው።
The Prime Minister assured the riparian countries of the river in connection with the dam, and he described the benefits of working together.
እኛ ኢነርጂ ብናመርት ሱዳን
If we produce energy, if Sudan works on irrigation, and if we share, we will all have enough. There is no point in arguing over words. The door in Ethiopia is always open as long as there is a solution that benefits all of us. I want to remind you not to worry.
The PM urged the downstream countries to join and rectify the Cooperative Framework Agreement as it equally benefits all.
የተፋሰሱ ሀገራት
There are riparian countries that have signed the agreement. Work is being done on others, but this is not an issue that needs to be addressed by Ethiopia alone. The agreement is for the benefit of all, not for the benefit of Ethiopia. Every nation should consider this for its own benefit and use it for common development. There are some countries who signed the agreement. There are also some who have not. It is always suggested to do so, and it will continue in the future.
Regarding the release of prisoners, the Premier said the decision was made for three reasons: to bring lasting peace, taking into consideration the overall situation of the prisoners, and to consolidate victory. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed also said Ethiopia's future direction can be summed up in 5 Ds: defense, dialogue, democracy, development, and diplomacy.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed says Ethiopia will work together with neighboring and Western countries for mutual benefits and common interests. The Prime Minister made this remark while addressing the Parliament today. Shagao Yamatao has this report.
The House of People's Representatives has held the third extraordinary session. The members of the parliament posed different questions on the current affairs of Ethiopia, to which Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed responded. Concerning the diplomacy with neighboring and western countries, the Premier replied that Ethiopia will work together for common interest with other countries. Regarding the current relations with Eritrea, the Prime Minister said the people of the two countries have a lot in common.
Regarding the relationship with Eritrea, Eritreans are our brothers and sisters. We have the same language, culture, thinking, color, feeding, and so on. We are also linked together in trade and many other circumstances. We will work together for the common interest of the people of the two countries, just as we do so with the people of Djibouti, Kenya, and others. We will strive for common development with many other countries.
Concerning the ties with America, the Premier said that Ethiopia will work in unison with America for mutual development.
Ethiopia has a friendly relation with America. Americans have their own interests and we have too. For the interests of both countries, we will discuss and we will work together for the benefit of us. This is the solution.
Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed reiterated that Ethiopia will have a smooth relationship with any country as long as the interest of Ethiopia is kept.
Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed underlined today that the upcoming all-inclusive national dialogue is a negotiation forum that should be taken seriously. The platform will advance the prospects for peace and national unity in Ethiopia. Responding to queries raised at the third extraordinary session of the House today, Abiy said the national dialogue would help to identify problem-solving options and unify the people of Ethiopia around common goals. In today's House of People's Representative meeting, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed also elaborated that all parties should make good use of the national dialogue opportunity for the good of all. Listen to the Prime Minister.
This inclusive national dialogue, we shouldn't
take the national dialogue lightly. If this was 10 or 15 years back, it would have been dismissed, saying there is no conflict going on. Opposition parties, let us not waste this opportunity. It will take us another year if it is wasted. All opposition parties, including TPLF, we have to use this opportunity. Those elected 11 commissioners' mandate will be to create conducive room to the national dialogue, but there won't be anything different other than that 4 Ethiopians will decide on the matters of Ethiopian national issues.
መደላደል መፍጠር እንጂ ምንም ስልጣን የተለየ የላቸው በኢትዮጵያ ጉዳይ የሚወስነው የኢትዮጵያ ሕዝብ ብቻ ነው.
The Premier also added that the national dialogue is not a tool for power scramble like some other countries' experience. Rather, it is to create a better Ethiopia.
If one asks why do we need a national dialogue, we have witnessed a number of elitist dialogue across Africa, but most of the dialogue's outcome was mainly focused on the scramble of power amongst themselves. That scramble of power is not the core point of this national dialogue, because we have already conducted the election, that prosperity already won, so no compromise over that. What will be tabled on the national dialogue is going to be our saddening past healing process and on how to build our future. Because what we build for tomorrow is beyond our power or party. If there happens to be anything, we have to compromise. We are ready for that.
This is the white oil of Ethiopia.
Tajnesh Gerome shows us all she's ever used to light up her house, a bottle kerosene lamp. She lives in a village 2 hours drive north.
አልፎ የህብረተሰቡን ኑሮ ለመለወጥ ለሚደረገው ጉዞና ለሀገራችን ኢኮኖሚ አስተዋጽኦ ለማድረግ በመብቃቱ ይህ በእኛ ትውልድ የአባቶቻችንን ህልም ለማሳካት በመቻላችን ኩራትና ደስታ ይሰማናል።
የታችኛው ተፋሰስ ሀገራት ወንድም የግብጽና የሱዳን ህዝቦች ዛሬ የተጀመረው የኃይል ማመንጨት ስራ ለእናንተም በረከት ነውና እንኳን ደስ ያላችሁ ልላችሁ ፈልጋለሁ።
This project for us for us as Ethiopians, as I feel myself, it is not a common product. It is not something that comes every day. We have done a lot of projects together.
You're watching Addis News Hour. While addressing the parliament, Prime Minister Abiy has addressed other matters today, covering a lot of issues, including citizens in Saudi. The challenge for the government of Ethiopia is the large number of illegal migrants, he said. There are also reports of mercenaries. The necessary research will be done to separate our citizens from the culprits and repatriate them, he has promised.
I've been working on this project for over 13 years.
That's a lot, bro.
Ethiopia can get you like that. You know, there's no other place in the whole world like this. As a photographer, it's really endless. Endless, endless, endless beauty. I've been to many countries around the world, but what I try to do is dedicate time to the same places again and again and again to get a little bit deeper.
This country has become part of his life.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. We have been traveling all over the country. We got deserts, we got jungles. Everything is like different.
It's a very difficult place to work.
I'm pretty confident. I'm not worried.
But it's so easy to be fascinated with these people. Oh my God. It's so beautiful, man. It's so beautiful. You really have to dive deep and get past the first layer because the photos are about humanity and people and not just the place itself. Endless, endless, endless beauty.
International human rights law and international law expert Professor Takele Soboka announces that Ethiopia still maintains its stance of fair utilization of the water of the Abiy River without causing significant harm to the downstream countries. The downstream nations should fully understand this and be cooperative, he added. Kasahun Chani presents the details.
A renowned scholar in international human rights law and international law, Professor Takele Soboka has spent some time with this dialogue, outlining the multifaceted benefits of the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam to Ethiopia and other downstream nations. The scholar, who has in-depth knowledge about transboundary rivers and legal matters related to it, has also written books expanding the matters with his notable works, including extraterritorial application of the human right to water in Africa. He underscored that tourism must for Ethiopia and other rival nations to reject irrelevant arguments under the legal aspects of international law.
As they should, because this argument is not about us. Argument between two persons, and the states are persons in international law. Okay. Argument between two persons binds the parties to the argument. Third parties are third parties. They do not derive any benefit from the agreement. They do not derive any duties from agreement between two countries. That's one thing. So that agreement was totally irrelevant to Ethiopia. And this doesn't really need a lot of argument. Mm-hmm. It's as simple as that. Okay. But more importantly, that agreement was concluded between Egypt on the one side, still under influence of the British empire of the time, and then the British acting on behalf of other colonial territories, let's say Uganda, Sudan, Kenya, etc. These countries, when they came out of colonial rule, particularly Tanzania, said that, look, Egypt did not have any authority to act on our behalf. They never acted in our own interest. They have no representation of the Tanzanian people. So Nyerere came out first and foremost and said, we start our independent life with clean slate. No rights, no obligations can bind us. which arise from colonial period agreements concluded between any party and the British. So Kenya followed suit.
Yeah.
Uganda followed suit. So the other countries also rejected that colonial agreement anyway.
Professor Takkal accentuated that Ethiopia had the right to fairly use the water for its development without causing significant harm to the downstream nations.
If I can get 100% of any agreement between you and myself, from selfish point of view, I can take it. That's what the downstream countries are doing.
Yeah.
But that's not the law. The two cardinal principles of international law of water courses are the equitable and reasonable utilization principle, Article 5 of the Global Convention on Transboundary Waters, and the prohibition of causing significant harm. Remember, what is prohibited is not causation of harm. You can cause harm, but causation of significant harm.
Yes.
For example, through pollution, through utilization of water beyond your fair share. Otherwise, what the principle of equitable and reasonable utilization dictates is that no one country can be excluded. It's dependent upon the sovereign equality of states. In other words, similar interests of riparian countries are put on the table and they will be given similar treatment. So if you're talking about agricultural water, you put the amount of agriculture in Egypt and you put the amount of agriculture in Ethiopia, you compare them, then you divide water accordingly. So sovereign equality of states means that each state, in respect to every single use of the water, is taken equally.
It is to be recalled that Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed officially inaugurated the first power generation at the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam on Sunday.
Chief of Staff of the Army of Ethiopia, Field Marshal Burhanu Jula, and Deputy Defense Minister of the United Arab Emirates, UAE, have discussed issues of mutual concern. The two sides have exchanged views on the peace and security situation in the Eastern Africa and the Gulf region. They further explored ways of forging strong partnership between Ethiopia and the UAE in the peace and security areas.
As a teenager coming here, I was really drawn to the countryside area, to the tribal areas. How could you not? But as you dedicate more years here, you really begin to see the nuance of the country.
Hello, my friend.
The city culture, the overlooked things. This book is about weaving together all these diverse places and people and uniting them in one cohesive style. Ethiopia is all of these things combined into one.
State Minister for Foreign Affairs of Ethiopia, Ambassador Redwan Hussein, met with Prime Minister of Pakistan, Imran Khan. Ambassador Redwan delivered a message to the Pakistani Prime Minister on behalf of Ethiopian Premier Abiy Ahmed. Redwan also delivered Prime Minister Abiy's appreciation of Pakistan's principled position in support of Ethiopia in the international arena. Ambassador Redwan noted Ethiopia and Pakistan have laid a sound foundation of friendship and cooperation at both bilateral and multilateral levels, mentioning the growing relationship, particularly in trade, investment, as well as international peace and security. Ambassador Redwan announced his country's decision to open an embassy in Islamabad. He also extended Prime Minister Abiy's invitation to his Pakistani counterpart to visit Ethiopia and further cement ties. Prime Minister Imran Khan, on his part, conveyed cordial greetings to Prime Minister Abiy, warmly reciprocated his sentiments of goodwill and friendship, and thanked him for the invitation. The Prime Minister underscored that Pakistan highly values its long-standing ties with Ethiopia and stressed the importance of further increasing trade and investment cooperation between the two countries. The Prime Minister also welcomed Ethiopia's decision to open its embassy in Islamabad. The United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, UNHCR, condemns the crimes committed by the terrorist TPLF against Eritrean refugees in the Afar region. The terrorist group's inhumane attack in camps has claimed lives of many, in addition to the assaults it committed on a number of civilians. Tigist Sarnisa has more on this.
These Eritrean refugees used to reside in the Afar regional state, Gilbetu Resu district Berhale camp. But now, since TPLF recaptured some areas in Afar, they are currently residing in Samara refugee camp. According to these refugees, since the terrorist TPLF attacked their camp with heavy artillery, a number of lives have been claimed, and these survivors were gravely concerned for their lives and had to escape to this camp, they noted.
We heard about TPLF's initiated war, and when the group came to our residing area, we fled our village to the wild. After we came till Afdera on foot, then we got a car to bring us here. We have seen dead bodies right by the camp's gate, and we are facing an immense challenge here.
Delegates from the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees have witnessed the challenges of the refugees here in Samara refugee camp and held a meeting with the refugees themselves as well. Refugees and Return Service Director General Tasfahun Gobezai expressed to ETV that terrorist TPLF has committed crimes that are against international criminal laws.
Refugee camps are places that have a right to serve any community protected under humanitarian and international law. But against all that, as you heard some of the refugees earlier, the terrorist group bombarded the place with heavy artillery that killed many people and wreaked damage on the camp, which really is devastating.
Vincent Parker, the acting UNHCR deputy representative in Ethiopia, has condemned TPLF's acts of claiming lives of civilians and displacing them.
They became refugees because they had to flee from crises and situations and persecutions and war in their own country to come to a safe place like Ethiopia in order to enjoy those benefits. It is regrettable that even the very refugee camps where they live in is also being attacked, and we strongly condemn every attack on every innocent refugee and person of concern to the organization that we represent.
It was learned that another new settlement area a little bit further away from Samara has been selected to gather the refugees that are scattered due to the war.
In business, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed says the economic progress in the last 6 months should be weighed in light of the operation in the north, droughts and floods, as well as impact of COVID. While addressing the parliament today regarding Ethiopia's economy, he said significant macroeconomic measures are required to close the budget imbalance. Bank's net value, which was 1.8 trillion Ethiopian birr 6 months ago, has increased by 2 trillion Ethiopian birr, while stakeholders' wealth has increased as well. Over the last 6 months, loans to private investors have improved. Foreign direct investment has surged by 23% in the last 6 months. The number of business licenses increased by 10%, with 8% of renewing already existing business licenses, he said, calling for the need to upgrade the system. And now take a look at the Forex updates.